Hi guys, it's Mrs. Dukes. I miss you guys. Today I know that some of you are studying seeds, or you've heard The Tiniest Seed by Carle. So today I thought we would have fun making something that seeds turn into, which is usually flowers or plants. But we're gonna do it a different way that's kind of fun. So let me show you what you need and we'll get started. Okay, for this project you're gonna need at least one piece of white paper, 2 or 3 or however many you end up wanting would be good. A piece of colored paper if you have one. If you don't have one, you can always take a white piece of paper and like make a design on it. And then you need a piece of aluminum foil that's at least as big as your piece of white paper. And you need a pair of scissors, some washable markers. It's really important that it says washable. Most markers you guys have at home are gonna be washable. My daughter got these for her birthday. They're brush markers, but they still say washable. So those could work also. So any marker that says washable on it. You're also gonna need glue, a paper towel or a sponge, and a bowl of water. All right, so let's get started. Get all of this stuff out of the way, except for this aluminum foil. So it needs to be at least as big as my piece of paper so that I don't have to do a whole lot of extra work. I am going to just mark, so I'm gonna open up my markers. I'm just gonna make a mark where the edge, about where the edge is, a little bit out from that. So I know about how much I need to color. You'll see in a minute. Just so I don't use a whole lot of markers in other places where I don't need to. All right, all you have to do is color on the aluminum foil with your markers, and it doesn't have to be completely covered. So I can make patterns and designs. So one design that I have tried that I thought was pretty cool is a radial design. A radial means that it kind of starts from a center and it travels around, kind of like a bicycle wheel. And I'm gonna do several of those. So I'm just gonna make lines coming out. Now it's best if you use colors next to each other that go with each other. For example, purple is made with red and blue. So it's best to have red or blue next to the purple. I'm gonna choose blue. Now I'm just gonna keep my radial design going out. Make any kind of design that you want and fill up your space. Okay, when you've got a design on your paper, sorry, there's a shadow right there. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set that aside for just a second. I'm gonna take my piece of white paper and I'm going to take my bowl of water and I'm gonna take my paper towel and I'm gonna put it in the water, or sponge. Sponge works great too. And I'm gonna squeeze out a lot of the water so it's just kind of damp. And now I'm going to get my paper wet. So I'm just gonna rub my paper kind of in lines to make sure it's all wet. Try to get the edges. All right, now I'm gonna put my foil in front of me. All right. And I'm gonna take my wet paper and I'm gonna lay it down on top and I'm gonna kind of push it in. Now, if you notice that it's not as wet as you think it should be, you don't see the design kind of going through, you can take your wet paper towel and just kind of rub along the back a little bit more. Okay, oops. All right. Just kind of smoothing it on top. All right, and then I peel it off. And the marker goes onto the paper. It's really cool looking. I'm gonna let this one dry. Now I can leave some of the color on, or if I wanna start completely fresh, I just take my paper towel and I can just wipe it off. But I kind of like my color and I like knowing where, let's see where the paper is gonna go. So I'm gonna try kind of a different design. I'm gonna leave what I have, but now I'm gonna do some stripes. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna set this off to the side. I'm gonna take my piece of paper, and my paper towel is still wet enough, I think. So I'm just going to get it wet by rubbing it with my damp sponge or paper towel. Make sure you get the edges. All right. Now I'm gonna pick it up, put the foil down, and on the side I just rubbed, I'm gonna lay it down on top of my foil. And then I'm gonna rub it. Excited to see how this one turns out. If you think it's not going through, you can always get it a little bit more damp. All right, and when you're done, you peel it off and you see what you got. So you can keep using this and keep making all sorts of designs. But what I need to do now, I'm gonna stop at 2. I'm gonna take my cool designed paper and I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'll come back. If you want to speed things along, you can always put your paper outside in the sun, or you can use a blow dryer to heat it up. I put mine out in the sun and it dried maybe in like 10 minutes, maybe less than that. It's very nice and sunny outside today. So now I'm going to design some flowers from this paper. So I'm gonna turn the paper over, both papers, and I'm going to design some flowers. So it's best if you keep your flowers pretty simple in design. So I'm going to do big, wide curves like this. If you make them really tiny or with a lot of curves, it's gonna be a lot harder to cut out. So I'm gonna do a couple like that, where I just make big, wide curves. I'm also going to make some that look kind of like tulips maybe. So I'm gonna make a U shape, and then I'm gonna put like a zigzag on it. Okay, we do one over here too that's a little bit smaller. Remember to keep your zigzags big and open. If you go up and down like that, really small, it's gonna be very hard to cut out. Okay, I'm gonna go on this paper over here, and I could do more of the same. I could do, let's see, let me think of another kind of flower. You know, a flower where you draw like a circle, you have like a middle part, and you draw big, wide petals. And I could draw that, but I'm only gonna be cutting out the edges. It might be a little bit tricky to cut out, but we'll see. And I'll do one more like that. Okay. When you cut out, when you use your scissors, remember that the little hole is for your thumb and the big hole is for your other fingers. Your thumb always is on the top. Try to keep yourself going straight and hold your paper with your other hand to help guide and turn it the direction you want to go, where your scissors kind of mostly stay pointed away from you. So here we go. Okay, when you've got them cut out, there are so many different ways you could do this. You can lay them out on your paper and you can have just petals, just flowers. You could take some of your smaller ones and put them on top as like part of the same flower. That would be very cool. You can overlap them or you can not overlap them. You can make a vase or not. There's so many different things you could do. I'm going to put my flowers like this, and I'm actually going to put another flower inside, I think this one. So I'm just gonna very quickly cut out a smaller version that I want to go on the inside like that. And I kind of think I could use a marker and I could draw a middle to my flowers, or I could use like the paper that I have cut to make a middle of my flower. It's totally up to you. I'm gonna use some of my paper that I made and I'm gonna cut out a circle. And this is kind of what Carle would do. You know, he would make his paper and then he cut and paste it. This is called a collage. So I'm gonna see, I like the middle of that flower. I think I might wanna give a middle of the flower here too. And I like that it is blue, so it stood out a little bit. So I'm gonna try to do that to this one with my paper that I made. There we go, so that's a flower, and I've got a flower there. This one, that could probably use a middle too. So I'm gonna try to cut out another circle. The best thing about this, I think, is that there's no wrong way. So it doesn't matter if it's not a perfect circle. It doesn't matter if you want to put a middle of your flower or don't want to put a middle to your flower. It's whatever you think. When you look at your artwork, what would make you happy to look at? So I'm gonna add, I like the way the middles look. Okay. So I think I have everything laid out the way that I kind of want it. So now I'm going to glue. Now, if you're gonna do ones on top or centers, I would glue those on first. So like this is one of my flowers. I'm gonna glue the circle on first. Remember, it just takes a little bit of glue around the edge, but not too close. And then glue down the flower as you go. That way you don't mess up how you have everything laid out. Notice I'm going around the edges, but not too close. And then just a little bit in the center. Okay, that's one flower down. All right, I'm gonna do this one. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the center, glued on there. Then I'm gonna put glue on here around the edge. If you just put it in the middle, it's gonna start to fold up around the edge. And then on the back. Here's a little trick. Once you've kind of got it padded, you can turn it upside down and rub the back. This pushes down your artwork. I'm really sorry about this shadow, guys. I'll do better next time. Push down your artwork from the back. That way you don't get glue all over your hands and you don't get dirty hands all over. Hopefully you have something underneath, but since I cleaned this cabinet myself, this counter, I'll clean it up later. Now, if I want to, I could just leave it like that. I could add more flowers if I think maybe I don't like that gap there, or I can make some petals, some stems, and some petals. I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna pretend like the grass is down here off the page, and I'm just going to put some stems that go from my flower down. You can also use your leftover paper to cut stems out that would match your flowers. And this is for this one. That one's for that one. I can make them kind of bendy. I can add petals. If I go onto my stem and I just kind of curve out and then curve back in. Okay, and I can color that in if I want to, or I could leave it the way it is. This might be a great thing to give to your mom for Mother's Day, which by the way is this Sunday. So if you haven't gotten your mom something or done something for your mom, let's do something for her because I'm sure she would love it. Something. If you didn't want to do it quite like this, I have another video I'll try to post on Canvas that shows you how to do the same thing pretty much, but also to make a background, and you can make a vase and you can put the flowers in the vase. I kind of like this way too. So either way is good. I think these are beautiful, and you can always add some more details with your markers, or you can just leave it the way that it is. I hope that you had fun, and I'll see you guys later.